Can you imagine being called the designated ugly fat friend for 4 years of high school? Just to be clear, high school felt like forever, and Bianca took every hit. I mean, these kids were cold and sociopathic, making her rise to stardom nothing short of remarkable. That's Bianca, by the way. She's your typical nerd, speaks too many words when nervous, and too little when anxious. All she ever did was be brilliant, never picking up a book a day in her life. It was just who she was. Her grades were amazing, but her social life was non-existent, even though she was best friends with two of the most popular and sexualized girls on campus. When it came to social settings, she was not very smart. She was noticeable, but not in a way that was remarkable. Everyone knew she was there, but nobody acknowledged her presence. She was like a ghost, but with clothes on. And the interesting thing was, she never knew how she was viewed by her peers until Wesley pointed it out. Wesley was a jock, loved by the ladies, and a star player on the football team. He also happened to be Bianca's neighbor. Wesley was the one attractive guy who spoke to Bianca about Bianca, and that's only because they've known each other since they were kids. But even Wesley spoke to her on very few occasions and with no respect. As much as she hated it, Wesley was the only one who never lied to her. Wesley called her a DUFF, a designated ugly fat friend, and that made her mad. He pointed out quite correctly that it wasn't because she was fat, it's because most attractive guys who approach her ask about her hot friends. She observed and realized every friend group had a DUFF, the unattractive, that creates a sharp contrast to the attractive in a group, seeming like they did not belong. Bianca did not want to be recognized as the DUFF anymore and broke up with her friends. Her friends were hurt, but they did let her go. Wesley tried to apologize to her for telling her the truth, but Bianca did not want to have this conversation again. Wesley might have been all laughs, but he was failing his classes, and Bianca was present as Wesley was being told this very sad news. His grades meant he was going to be off the football team. Although Bianca was sorry, she used this as an opportunity to create the perfect deal. Wesley was going to help her become more attractive and garner the attention of boys, and she was going to help him pass his classes so he can keep his scholarship. Wesley did not like this deal very much. Bianca helping him pass his classes was like a walk in the park for her, but making her attractive was almost impossible. Bianca angrily tried to walk away, but Wesley changed his mind. Bianca gave Wesley his notes, easily digestible, to help him pass, but in order to change Bianca, they had to start with her appearance. She dressed like she woke up from bed and went to bed wearing the same clothes. It was a fun and exciting experience for Wesley, who happened to record the whole outing. Unbeknownst to Bianca, there was someone else from her school at the mall who was also recording. She was friends with Madison. Madison was the most popular girl in school and was dating Wesley, which means anyone who messed with her man was going to have to face her. For the first time in a long time, Bianca was free. She was sexualizing a mannequin that represented Toby, her crush in school that she could barely talk to. Oh god, this is hilarious. Anyways, unfortunately for her, Madison and her friends posted a video and it went viral. Bianca was laughed at and mocked by the entire school, and the most painful part was the one person she thought had her back was an asshole among his peers. She was really alone. Her ex-best friends watched and did not reach out because she decided by herself to leave the friend group. Casey, who was a tech genius, did help by erasing the video from the internet. After what happened at school, Wesley reached out to Bianca. He apologized for what had happened and stated that although he was recording, the videos released were not from his angle. He really had nothing to do with it, but he didn't come empty-handed. He bought her a dress from the mall that he realized she couldn't stop looking at, so they made up. Bianca was done holding back. She took charge and faced the video head-on. She began by having a conversation with Toby that she was very much interested in him and they should hang out sometime, and Toby was open to that possibility. Casey and Jess watched as their friend was trying new relationships without them, but Bianca did not go and talk to them about this. She went to the boys' room to talk to Wesley. Now Wesley was super excited and gave her advice on the things she needs to do on the date. But before the date happened, Bianca and Wesley were spending a lot of time together. One day, Bianca visited Wesley and overheard his parents fighting. She already knew what this was about, as she had faced a similar situation. Her parents got divorced, She took Wesley to her safe spot, a spot that she ran to when she had issues. Wesley was able to open up to her about his parents, building an emotional bond with Bianca. He leaned in to kiss her, and she kissed him back, but he acted super weird about it, claiming it was just practice for her date. But Bianca did not feel like this was practice. She seemed to have enjoyed it, but they both moved on like nothing ever happened. The day went by, and Bianca was ready for her date with Toby. Wesley was sitting outside his home, waiting for her. He got a B grade on one of his science exams, and Bianca was more than happy for him. Bianca's help was working. Wesley commented on how beautiful she looked in the dress he bought her, but still felt like the dress wasn't a true representation of her personality. But he let that go and wished her the best on her date. Bianca arrived at Toby's home prepared. They were going to visit a nice, sexually charged restaurant with dark lighting for potential kissing opportunities. But Toby had other plans. He wanted a home date. Everything Wesley spoke about the date was void because the settings had changed. Bianca tried to reset the venue to the way she had imagined. The more she tried, the weirder it got. But they finally ended up sitting on Toby's porch, where Toby played her some of his music. Pretty terrible, to be honest, but she loved every second of it, until she realized Toby was using her as a DUFF. The girls she really wanted were Casey and Jess, and Bianca stormed out, even realizing the food wasn't a home-cooked meal. It was just cheap food he ordered. She was depressed, and there was only one place to go in such a situation. But she found Wesley and Madison kissing at her spot. She sent Wesley a few messages after how terrible the date went. Wesley listened to the messages after he was done lip-syncing Madison and came to console Bianca. But Bianca was emotionally distressed and quite angry at Wesley. He took Madison to her spot, a spot they shared together. But in Wesley's defense, Bianca said he could use it anytime he wanted. She was tired and complained about how nobody wanted to date her, and she did not even want to try anymore. Wesley tried to appease her, but she ended up closing the door on him. She realized all this had nothing to do with her best friends and invited them over to explain the whole DUFF situation. They were shocked that Bianca could not confide in them with something like this. But after much chit-chat, the friend group was back and stronger than ever. Bianca had no dates for homecoming and reaffirmed her decision not to attend. But Casey and Jess, in solidarity, decided to cancel their dates and go as solo girls. She was still hesitant until her mom came in with that divorce wisdom. She needed to accept who she was, embrace it even, and that was the only way she could prove to the world she was amazing. Bianca was fired up. She even had a fashion idea that was sexy and totally her style, and Casey and Jess helped her implement the idea. They walked into that homecoming hall looking like bombshells. No one could take their eyes off them, but there was one person who was in complete awe, and that was Wesley, and she looked upon Bianca like the true maiden she was. Bianca walked up to him and told him how she felt, using a combination of all the tricks he taught her. But Wesley was hesitant to admit he felt the same way. He just got back with Madison. But for the first time, this rejection did not feel like the end of the world to Bianca. She was totally cool about it. Madison arrived on the show, trying to degrade Bianca, but this time she won. She was confident and articulate, explaining how Madison was shallow and how tawdry high school accolades were her dream achievements. Wesley looked, and he was more than impressed. It was that time. They were coming to announce the homecoming king and queen. Madison jumped with euphoria. Her name was called for homecoming queen. No surprise there. And as no surprise either, Wesley's name was called for homecoming king. But as Bianca pointed out, although Wesley was smart, Madison treated him like trash and did not value him. And that got to Wesley. Wesley stood between the crown he never cared about and the girl he did not know he wanted. Bianca was surprised. "Go get your crown," she said. But he said, "Nah, I'm going to get the girl." Everyone looked as Wesley walked up to kiss Bianca, as this was definitely the highlight of the show. Wesley walked out with his prize. Casey and Jess thought, damn, it was definitely the dress. And so at the end, Bianca didn't become queen, but she redefined the crown. She wrote an article on how everyone was a DUFF. It didn't just go viral, it made people feel seen. Because deep down, we are all a little DUFF. And that's not a flaw, it's a fact. And so she lived on, with her boyfriend just one door away as they explored life together.